Shalom, first and foremost, giving all praises and honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh being God, and Yahweh Shai being Jesus Christ, right? I want to touch on sin and understanding, just getting a little bit better understanding on sin. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying, and comforting unto the nation of Israel, right? So I want to start in the book of First John, because this is a fundamental precept, when you come into this thing, is understanding, actually what sin is, man. Because Christianity, they will teach you that sin is, you can never really find out what sin is in Christianity. They'll tell you just don't sin, stay away from sin. I hate sin. They say all these things, but they really don't have the true understanding on what sin is and how it tells you to keep the law. Because that's literally what sin is. And we're going to read that, right? So Christianity, it have you all bugged out. They'll say missing the mark. But then you ask them, what's the mark? And they can't really tell you, man. So we're going to get a little bit better understanding on what sin is and, how to deal with it, right? This First John, the 3rd chapter, and verse number 4. I kind of want to zoom into this. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, 1 John 3 and verse number 4. Yeah, a little closer, Slakia. Okay. 1 John 3 and 4. Whosoever committeth sin, transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. Right? So that's literally what sin is. Whosoever committeth sin, they transgresseth the law. So if you committing sin, you're breaking the Most High law. And it's explaining it right here. For sin is the transgression or the breaking of the law. That is literally what sin is. It's when you break God's laws. Right? Let's read this in a different translation to see if it gives us something. Okay, 1 John 3 and 4. It says, everyone who sins is breaking God's law. For all sin is contrary to the law of God. Okay, I want to see it. See that NIV. See. Okay, 1 John 3 and 4 in the NIV. Everyone who sins breaks the law. So everybody that's sinning, you break the law. Because sin is, that's what sin is. You don't have sin. You don't just have sin. It's not just sin, right? The understanding of the concept of sin, it comes from the law. And we're going to prove this in the book of Romans, okay? We're going to prove this, right? Because even Paul, y'all favorite, Christians, they favorite, person they love Paul so much. And we're going to go to Paul, right? Okay. Let's go back to the KJV. Let's go to Romans 7 and 7. Okay. Romans 7 and verse number. Actually, let's go back to 1 John real quick. 1 second. Let's go back to 1 John, the 3rd chapter. Okay. And I want to go into the word sin. Okay. And this is the point I want right here. Verse number 5. Okay. It says to wander from the law of God, violate God's law, sin. Okay. It says that which is done wrong, sin, an offense, a violation of the divine law in thought, or an act. So that's what the Lord said. Let me get this precept. Let me get this up. Okay. Let's get this. Proverbs 24 and verse number 9. The thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorners an abomination to men. So even the thought of breaking the Most High's law is sin. Okay? So it says, let me read that verse 5 again. To wander from the law of the Most High, violate God's law is sin. So you're in transgression when you violate the Most High's law. That's when you're in sin. That's how you understand sin. Now let's go to the book of Romans 7. It's how you understand sin is by knowing the law. Because you don't understand sin unless the law says you can't do something. You just don't magically understand sin. You don't just wake up and say, yeah, that's sin. Oh yeah, that's sin. You're looking at a person, he doing something, and you just, yeah, that guy's sinning. That guy's going off. Nah, man, it's if you breaking God's law. This is how you could point out exactly what sin is, and you can be able to escape it. This is how you escape the wiles of the devil. Can't understand, you got to be able to understand what your enemy's coming with, You got to understand the tactic, and this is why, and we're going to get into it, but let's go to the book of Romans 7:7. Okay, this is Romans 7:7. It says, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? Right? Is it wrong to keep the Most High law? Is it going off to keep God's law? Is it the law sin? He's throwing a question out there. Is the law sin? Is the law bad? Right? God forbid. Nay or no. I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law has said, thou shalt not covet. So Paul said only way he known sin is but by the law. Because the law said, he said he had not known lust except the law has said, thou shalt not covet. So the only way he understood sin is by the law. The only way you can understand the concept of sin is by the law. So the law tells you different. The law tells you don't to eat swine's flesh. If you eating swine's flesh, now you're in sin. Now you're in transgression. Because you only understand sin. You only understand sin is by the law. Right? So Paul even knew this, man. Okay? So let's go to the book of let's go to James. Let's go to the book of James. Get this precept. Okay. And this is ultimately, how we all, die. Let's go to James 1. I'm trying to select it. Okay. James 1 and 15. Okay. Okay, James 1 and 15. Let me start at 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. And that's ultimately what happens. Because when you're sinning, when the sin is finished, it's gonna bring forth death. And that's ultimately how you die. Is through sin. Ultimately that's how man perishes, through sin. Ultimately we all perish is through sin. Let's go to the Apocrypha. Let's go to the book of Sirach. Sirach 21. Actually, let's go Slakia. I'm being a little slow. Slakia. Let's go to the book of Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs, the 14th chapter. Because people don't go through the precepts. That's why their understanding is all jammed up. Because we got to go through the precepts, then we get understanding. Okay, Proverbs 14 and 9. It says, fools make a mock at sin. And that's what the fools do. You Christians, they make a mock at The laws, man. Because we just read that we understand the law. We understand sin is by the law. And fools, they make a mock at sin. They make a mock at the Most High laws. They scorn at it. They say it's done away with. That's the mocking at sin. Saying the law is done away with. Saying we can eat swine's flesh. Saying we could break the Sabbath day. Oh, it's grace. Saying it's okay. Let's go back to the book of Romans. I think that's the 6th chapter. Maybe 6. Good con. Okay, this is what let's just go through the word. Romans 6:1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. Because should we continue to break the Most High's laws that we have grace now? That we have grace now. We're not under the law anymore. Because remember, under the law, we was getting, if you're under the law, under 2 or 3 witnesses, and you get put to death. But we're under grace now. But just because we have the grace that the Most High came and gave us, Yahweh Shai, which the world knows as Jesus Christ, he came and gave us grace. Does that mean that we break God's law? What did Paul say? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Because what is it saying that how shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Sin is pretty much dead to us, meaning that we don't sin anymore. Like it's dead. We don't sin anymore. How are we gonna live any longer? Let's look at that. Let's look at that in a different translation. Let's see if it says. Oh, look at it saying NLT. It says, of course not. Of course not. Let's read this. Let's read 1. Well then, shall we keep on sinning so that God can show us more and more of his wonderful grace? Of course not. So of course we should not keep sinning. We understand that sin is breaking God's law. Since we have died to sin, how can we continue to live in it? I mean, it's plain. Okay. Let's go back to the book of Proverbs. Actually, I was going to the Sirach 21. Sirach 21. Let's zoom this in. Sirach 21 and verse number 2. I said that one. It says, my son, hast thou sinned? Do so no more, but ask pardon for thy former sins. Flee from sin, as from the face of a serpent. For if thou comest too near it, it will bite thee. The teeth thereof are as the teeth of a lion, slaying the souls of men. Okay, so the Lord told us to flee from sin as the face of a serpent. Because if you have a serpent, you're not going to sit there and play with a serpent. So the same way you will flee from a serpent is the same way you should be fleeing from sin and running away from sin. Because the Lord said that if you come near it, if you come too near it, it's going to bite you. So if you get too close to sin, it's gonna get you. You know, so the Lord is telling you to don't even come near it. Don't even be around sin because it's gonna bite you. Like a serpent, man. You don't gotta be right on top of the serpent for a serpent to bite you. The serpent, it kind of lunge at you. It kind of lunge at you and get you. And the serpent teeth is as teeth of a lion. It's not gonna just bite you and run away and wiggle off into the damn forest. This serpent is gonna bite you. And a lion devours. When a lion get hold of you, he don't just run away like an actual serpent. A lion, he devours you. That's why it says slaying the souls of men. That's what sin does to men. It slays the souls of men. It destroys you. It breaks you down. Because we understand that the laws of the Most High is our heritage. So let's get this in the book of Deuteronomy. Okay. I gotta look at this. Yeah, Deuteronomy 6. Okay. This is Deuteronomy 4 and verse number 6. It says, keep therefore and do them. Talking about the Most High law. For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. So the Lord said, keep them. Because this is our wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear these statutes and say, surely this is a great nation, and a wise, understanding people. So the laws is actually very beautiful, man. And let's go to the book of First John. These are fundamental precepts. I just wanted to touch on it, because brothers may not know. First John 5:3. For this is the love of the Most High, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous. Grievous going into hard. Okay, let's look this up. Grievous. So His commandments are not. They're not hard to keep. It says heavyweight, burdensome, weighty, of a great moment, violent, cruel. So these things, the Lord is saying these are things not burdensome. The Most High laws is not burdensome. It's not hard to stop eating pork. It's not like the Most High is asking you to. He's not asking too much of His people. This is how you show the Most High you love Him. So the laws, and that's what they did. This world did to our people is they took away our power. Any people that's without the law is it's bad. Let me get this precept right quick. Okay, Proverbs 14. And 34. And it reads, righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. And that's a fact, because sin is what ultimately, it destroys anybody, right? Because when you go against how the Most High set up everything up, how you think it's gonna go right? When the Most High set up this world to be ran a certain way, to abide by certain rules. And if you go against that, it's ultimately going to be for your downfall. The Lord didn't set up man and man and woman. He made it male and female to lay with each other. And when you go against that, you're going against nature. And that's what people ultimately do. Even with women wearing pants, that's against nature, man. It's not made for a woman to have pants on. It actually causes a lot of problems, in that area. It's not right for you to eat swine's flesh. It destroys your body. You get tapeworms in your mind. Look this stuff up, man. When you go against the word, the commandments of the Most High and the law, it messes you up, right? But with this understanding that we got to keep the law, we understand that it's not all about the law. We understand that, let's go to the book of James, the 2nd chapter. We understand, see, we're not just telling our people just to keep it's all about the law, it's all about the law. Which it's not all about the law, it's about, they pretty much go hand in hand. Faith and the Most High, it goes hand in hand with keeping the law, because, let's go to here. Okay, this is ultimately how you show your works. Okay, this is ultimately how you show your works. Okay, so this James 2:17. Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. So faith is in the book of Hebrews, the 11th chapter, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, roughly paraphrasing. Okay, so if you have faith in the Most High, but if it have not works, it's dead being alone. So you can have faith in the Lord, but if it don't have works behind it, it's dead being alone. See, let's see what James say. He said, yeah, man may say that has faith. So somebody can say they have faith. What did James say? And I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Cause how are you going to show your faith without your works? Just show me. Somebody show me their faith without their works. That's why James said, I'm going to show thee my faith by my works. He going to show how much he believe by his works. Okay. It says, seeing how faith wrought with his works, and by his works was faith made perfect. So like I said, I don't want to jump off the point, but we're not telling our people, it's all about the law, but the law is very important because the law is what got us, in the predicament we in today. Going through the curse of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Living these things out. Being, the oppressed, being the tail, not the head. Getting shot down in the streets. All these things happen because one of the reasons is because we broke God's law. And Christianity and this world is telling our people that it's okay to break God's law, and it's not, because it's killing you. But they're lying to you, and they're tricking you and telling you it's okay to break God's law. Oh, that's the old law. Don't worry about that. Oh, it's okay, but it's not okay. So, Lord willing, this is edifying, exhorting, and comforting unto the nation of Israel. And shalom to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Lord willing, everybody's enduring and continue to fight unto the end. A shalom nation. Shalom, Israel. Shalom.